Hola, dragon friends. It is I, the Dragonstaff, coming at you with a juicy Dragonstaff tutorial for you. This time, we're going to go over something I feel like is long overdue. I wanted to do a little groundwork tutorial for beginners. So, I tend to think of groundwork in 3 separate categories, although that's not always the case. Sometimes you find yourself in a spot somewhere between these 3. But I tend to break them up into A, kneeling, B, sitting, and 3, recline. Just to be clear, when I say groundwork, I don't necessarily mean moves with the legs or feet, more so just moves on the ground. One thing that I like to do is think of any move that I can do normally standing up and see if I can somehow pull that move off on the ground. So, just so you guys can see, I'm going to go over a few moves seated, a few moves kneeling, and a few moves reclined. I can't cover all the groundwork moves because the possibilities are endless. But this is just to give you guys somewhat of an overview of a way to view groundwork. So now that we've covered our 3 main categories for groundwork, and we've covered some hopefully familiar moves, I wanted to go over just a few moves actually using the legs and feet. One thing about these is that it is going to require some core strength, so it will help if you have something you can lean up against, either a wall or a pillow, a cushion, even a curb. Otherwise, you'll start feeling the burn after a little bit. Here I have a little backpack, so you can kind of lean back like this at least. This is going to be some of those cases where we aren't necessarily in a seated or reclined or kneeling position. We're kind of in between sitting and reclined. If you are familiar with yoga poses, it would be something like boat pose, which would look something like that. So you're not fully seated, you're not fully reclined, but that pose is going to give us access to a lot of moves using the legs. So now we're going to go over 3 moves using the legs and / or feet. 3 that I think are really helpful in the beginning to kind of gain a sense of using the Dragonstaff on your legs, because we might be used to it with our arms, but it'll feel really foreign if you're not used to doing it with your legs. So the first one, go ahead and grab my support. So again, it'll be helpful if you have some kind of support for this so you're not burning out your core. And using the hands, we're going to release the staff right near the knees, allow it to roll down the shins, and then stop at our feet, our ankles, our feet, our toes, wherever it happens to stop at. And then we're going to lift up our legs to reverse the momentum of the staff, and it'll now be rolling towards us. I think this is one of the best kind of beginner groundwork moves you can do to gain a sense of how the staff wants to travel on the legs. So that will look like this. So, one thing to notice about this move is that the staff will be returning to you, rolling towards you. So, one thing you can do, if you know your reverse chi roll, you could go right into that. Otherwise, something that most of us know is when it's rolling towards you, just slide in the top of the hands, duck the head, let it roll back, move your arms behind you to create a path for the staff, and you can do whatever from there. Back up. Another thing, as you've seen me do a moment ago, is I like to have the staff rolling towards me and then kind of move it in like a Steve or a cheating death kind of movement around the shoulders, back down the arms, so it's now rolling away from you again. Just so you can see that. Another thing about this move is it's very helpful to use your hands along your sides for a support. Again, helping so that you're not putting all of the strain on your abdomen. This pose is a fun spot to play around, lifting the feet higher and lower to kind of play with the momentum of the staff. As you raise your feet higher, the faster the staff will be rolling back towards you. Or you could keep the feet relatively low and keep the staff traveling at a really slow pace. So for this next move, it's going to be very similar to the one that we just went over. This time, we're going to kick the staff up with the feet and catch it with the hands, still rolling away from us. So for this one, you could do it seated or in a similar position as we just were. In my opinion, this one is easier fully reclined. So that would look something like this. And this is another fun move to kind of play with the momentum of the staff, playing with how high up we can kick it, and of course work on catching it properly. The higher you can kick it, the more dramatic it's going to look for an audience. For this last move using the legs, I'm going to highly recommend being barefoot, without shoes or socks. We're going to send the staff down the fronts of the legs, much like we did in the last two. This time we're going to let the staff roll over the toes, over the bottoms of the feet, over the heels, and then down the backs of the calves. And then as the staff reaches the backs of the thighs, we'll catch it with the hands. It looks something like so. One thing about this move, and I feel this way about a lot of moves, is that it comes more, I guess the access to the move comes more from a yoga pose. It's called Halasana, which translates to plow pose. And I hate when I'm learning a move with any prop and we have to put down the prop in order to learn it. But this is one of those times where it'll be a lot easier if you just practice doing this pose than it'll be to just try to practice doing the move. Because then when you come back to the move, you just implement everything that you've learned from just doing the pose, and the move will be a lot smoother. So this isn't my favorite pose to demonstrate, but I guess it's really helpful for this move. So if you can hold this pose, you'll see you'll create a very nice path for the staff to travel along the backs of the thighs, backs of the calves. So now, if you were able to pick up on all or most or some of what we went over so far in this video, you'll have a little bit of a base to go into some groundwork stuff. So even if you just know, let's say, a chi roll and a double arm roll, maybe you picked up some of that leg stuff, one move or so, you can be in the middle of your burn, you're chi rolling, power slide onto your knees, double arm roll, can go to a seated position, do a little chi roll for a bit, then maybe send it down the legs, kick it back up, come back to standing, and now your burn is going to look much more diverse. I like to think that groundwork isn't something for intermediate or advanced or long-time practicers of Dragonstaff, practitioners. I think it's more just about what you practice. So if you're just getting into Dragonstaff and you're just practicing chi rolls, you're probably going to learn a whole bunch of different types of chi rolls. If you're just getting into Dragonstaff and you're just working with cages, you're probably going to learn a whole lot of different cages. And if you spend your time just practicing ground stuff, you're probably going to come across a lot of ground stuff that other people have yet to discover or explore. And there we have it. Intro to Groundwork Dragonstaff tutorial. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. You can always leave me a comment, shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if I left anything out, just let me know. Really appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.